While Toyota can take a lot of the credit for popularising the regular hybrid car, Mitsubishi is arguably the pioneer of the plug-in hybrid electric powertrain. It first introduced the Outlander plug-in hybrid electric vehicle more than 10 years ago, the first of its kind no less, and it has since gone on to break sales records around the world. We're here with the latest generation Outlander plug-in hybrid EV in top-spec Exceed Tourer guise to find out whether it still offers something useful in an era where plug-in hybrids are being overlooked for outright electric cars.
Wanna be just like you.
The Mitsubishi Outlander offers some pretty decent boasts over and above its rivals. These include its electric powertrain, obviously, which we'll dive into later, its 7-seat option, and also that strong 10-year warranty that you get with Mitsubishis. Over and above its predecessor, the Outlander plug-in hybrid comes with a larger 20 kilowatt-hour battery, higher output electric motors, a bigger 84-kilometer electric driving range according to Mitsubishi, and the simple fact that you can now have 7 seats with the electrified variant. That wasn't a thing previously. In something of a win for buyers, the plug-in hybrid powertrain option is available at every single price point of the Outlander lineup, meaning the Outlander ES, Aspire, Exceed and Exceed Tourer all have that option. Standard features across the range include a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, 9-inch infotainment display, LED headlights, climate control, 8 airbags, and advanced safety features including autonomous emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, and blind spot monitoring. We're here with the Exceed Tourer variant, which impresses thanks to its two-tone colour combination. You can see that it's got a metallic black base colour, which ends in a silver roof contrasting colour. Now you can tell me what you think about that in the comments below, but otherwise it's beset by this chrome grille trim down here, a set of 20-inch snazzy alloy wheels, plug-in hybrid EV badging down the side, and it all ends in this power point on this right-hand side here. Now that does have a CHAdeMO port for DC fast charging and also a Type 2 charger. And on the other side of the car, you've got a regular fuel filler. On the Exceed Tourer variant, you're also getting massaging front seats, two-tone leather upholstered cabin, and rear seat heating on this spec. The Exceed Tourer also benefits from equipment that you already get lower down the range, such as a panoramic sunroof, tri-zone climate control, 10-speaker Bose sound system, and rear sunblinds. But you do pay for it, and the price has crept up by more than $3,000 compared to when this car arrived in Australia roughly 18 months ago. It now costs $71,790 before on-road costs. The Outlander plug-in hybrid is powered by a 2.4-litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine paired to electric motors at the front and rear. According to Mitsubishi, combined outputs stand at 185 kilowatts and 450 newton meters. Claimed fuel use is impressive at 1.5 litres per 100 kilometres, though this is tested using lenient NEDC methods. Connect the Outlander's 20 kilowatt-hour battery to a DC fast charger and you'll have 80% charge in just under 40 minutes. On a regular 240-volt home outlet, a 100% charge will come in 12 hours. Interestingly, the power also goes the other way. The Outlander comes with the capability to divert its charge using vehicle-to-grid or vehicle-to-load technology. The latter is handy to power devices while camping, for example, and is accessed via the boot. The two-tone theme continues inside the cabin, and you're also getting this diamond stitch inlay on the seats and for the door cards. Now, Mitsubishi calls this contrasting colour tan, but my approximation is it's orange. Let me know if you agree in the comments below. In terms of fit and finish, it all feels quite nice. This leather appointed upholstery is plush on the center console here and on the seats. And I'm particularly impressed with the cosseting seats that I'm sat in the front row here. But it's not all great news. There are a few fit and finish items which aren't quite up to scratch, including this shifter down here on the center console. There's a bit too much play in it. The steering wheel itself, that feels a little bit hollow, and there is way too much flex to the door cards here. In my time with the car, I've found that everything is within my arm's reach, which is really handy for adjusting things on the go. And storage is covered off by this deep center console bin, dual cup holders down here on the center console, a tray in front of the shifter with a wireless phone charger, dual USB ports as well, one USB-A and one USB-C, a 12-volt port, and these little slots down here on the transmission tunnel. One final thing I want to mention is this panoramic sunroof, which actually lets in a lot of light despite this dark headlining. Mounted centrally on the dashboard is a 9-inch touchscreen, the same size you get on other variants in the range. Maps and menu screens present with nice looks, and navigation between various settings and menus is straightforward. If you're not such a fan of the system, because it is kind of basic, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone mirroring is available as a backup. The infotainment screen handily has an array of shortcut buttons and dials to change items when on the go. You can also rearrange the home screen how you want it with configurable icons. On this Exceed Tourer model grade, we've got a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, which uses interesting dial-like graphics to show powertrain activity and speed. Plus, there's also a changeable display right in the center which can show energy flow and fuel data information. It also equips a head-up display to show things like speed in front of the driver, so no excuses for venturing over the posted speed limit. Second row passengers get a very comfy rear seat bench, but things in not great supply is space. Now, my head is firmly tucked underneath this sunroof here, which does encumber on the headroom, and my feet are tucked in underneath the seat. There's not that much room spare. My legs do have a decent amount of space, and thankfully this seat does slide forward and there is recline for the seat back as well. But overall, it does feel a little bit claustrophobic back here. Now, amenities wise, you've got rear seat heating, those rear seat aircon controls, rear air vents, obviously, and you do have these handy seat pockets in the backs of the seats here. These here are rear sun blinds, which are particularly handy for little kids. And you also have lighting back here, even though it is halogen, which is pretty egregious for a $70,000 car, but there we go. There is power supply back here as well. You've got a USB-C, a USB-A port, and a standard 240 volt power outlet for plugging in appliances, whatever you need. All right, now let me show you how you get into the third row. You slide this forward like so, somehow squeeze through this tiny little space, or like that. And then this seat rolls back like so. Now here we are in the third row, and as you can see, it's very much a compromise. Now, my feet have a tiny little bit amount of space, but the person in front of me has no foot room whatsoever. Now, you do get dual cup holders back here, but no air vents. Now, I really wouldn't recommend this space for anything but the smallest of children, and even then, it is a little bit of an afterthought. So this is really more of a 5+2-seater rather than a full outright 7-seater. Here we are at the boot, but quickly, let me show you how you put that third row down again, because it's not the simplest procedure. Now, you pull that latch to fold the seat back forward, and then pull this to unlock the entire thing, which then folds back on itself like so. When we're talking storage in the third row, to the seat backs of the third row, it is 191 litres. To the seat backs of the second row, it's 461 litres. And with all seats down, you can actually do that using these latches on the side. That is 1,387 litres. Now, this car doesn't come with a space saver or even a full-size spare, only a tyre repair kit in the plug-in hybrid electric model. One final thing I want to mention is the fact that this car does have vehicle-to-load capabilities, which, like I described in the second row, you can charge devices from this little power port here. Now, this is particularly handy for outdoor activities. But let's close the electric boot and go for a drive. So you might have seen Mitsubishi's advertising, which places Australia's own Russell Coight in the hot seat of the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid, perpetuating the idea that this is an electric vehicle, but it's simply not. It's a plug-in hybrid electric. Now, that means that this car is designed to run on electric power up to 84 kilometres, which is what the car maker claims this car can do on electric power alone. After that point, it simply returns to a 2.4 litre petrol engine. Now, that engine on its own outputs 98 kilowatts, but when you combine it with the electric motors, that is 85 kilowatts at the front and 100 kilowatts at the rear, it reaches a combined output of 185 kilowatts and 450 newton meters. For the most part, this car runs on electric power. Like yesterday, I charged it up to 100%. We're now sitting at about 25%, but it's still running on electric power, and you will note no noise is coming inside the cabin. But when you put your foot on the throttle, like so, you can definitely hear that petrol motor wake up to provide full power outputs. But otherwise, this is a nice, serene, quiet cabin. The other way to deplete that 20 kilowatt hour battery is to simply run it out. Now, after that point, the car will run on petrol power alone, but that petrol motor can also power the generator, which powers the electric battery. In that circumstance, the car can regenerate its own electric energy from 10 to 80% in around 90 minutes. But there are ways to change this car's powertrain outputs as well. There are 4 separate EV driving modes down on the center console here, and I press it through normal, which basically prioritizes the electric powertrain, but certainly does use a petrol motor to provide that little bit of extra output when needed. You can also cycle through EV, which solely uses the electric powertrain. Then there is a save mode, which saves the electric battery's charge level for a later date when you want to use it further down the line, or charge mode as well, which can charge the battery up to 100% again using that onboard generator which I just talked about. I know there's a lot of information there on the powertrain settings, but there's even more drive modes as well. There are 7 separate drive modes for the terrain response system, which you can use at your disposal. One thing I will mention about this car's ride comfort is the fact that it actually does really well around town. Now, it does feel its weight when going over speed humps and over larger imperfections in the road, because it is about 200 kilograms heavier than a regular petrol-powered Outlander. But all those little imperfections in the road, it sort of just eats up like it's nothing at all. The final thing I want to talk about with this car is its fuel economy. And when you do have a full battery and it is prioritizing that electric battery over the petrol motor, I am seeing fuel economies of around 0.6 litres per 100 kilometres, which is really astonishing for a petrol hybrid electric. But that really does rocket up when you are using the petrol motor compared to the electric powertrain. I've seen between 5 and 6 litres per 100 kilometres, which is pretty decent for a hybrid, but then again, it's not the advertised 1.5 litre figure. Well, where does that leave us with the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid electric? I actually think it achieves what it sets out to do, and it wholly runs as an electric vehicle for up to about 70 kilometres. That is really handy for everyday use, but there is a limited band of operation, and not every single owner is going to recharge this car as strictly as it needs to be in order to reap those fuel benefits. And then you factor in the cost as well. This car is $71,790 before on-road costs, and that is a lot of money to spend on a mid-size SUV, hybrid or not. And when you consider that that is the kind of price that other car makers are charging for a full electric car, this starts to sort of lose a bit of its shine. Don't get me wrong, this car is really handy at what it sets out to achieve, but it is a thin brief that will only appeal to a select few. If you've enjoyed this video or learnt something new about the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid electric, be sure to give it a like on YouTube and stay subscribed to get all of our future content. As well, you can read the full review on Drive.com.au.